Good afternoon, friends. Important video on very burning topic, cross charge versus ISD. Recent ruling given by AAAR Maharashtra in the case of Cummins India Limited is hue and cry in the market. So this video I'm discussing three AAAR ruling, one from Maharashtra, another one from Karnataka AAAR in the case of Columbia Asia Hospital, and another one from Tamil Nadu AAAR Specs Makers Optician Private Limited. So three advanced ruling by appellate authority on related point cross charge, its valuation, and the concept of ISD, input service distributor. If we look at service definition in GST, it is too wide. Service means anything other than goods, money, and securities. Too wide. The question which is very much relevant for all of us together, whether any supply of goods or services by head office or branch or vice versa, is it really supply in GST? That is the moot point. So relying on three AAAR ruling and the definition as given in the GST law, para 2 of schedule 1, deemed supply. Supply of goods or services or both between related person or distinct person in the course of furtherance of business is deemed supply even it is without consideration. So any supply of goods or services, even without consideration, between head office to branch or vice versa, is deemed supply in GST. Since the inception of GST, this was the burning point, and still today we are debating whether GST leviable on supply of goods between head office to branch or vice versa. As we all know, supply of goods was not chargeable to VAT or CST in pre-GST era against Form F. And there was no concept of chargeability of service tax when services are being provided by head office to branch or vice versa. There was no concept. Since the day GST got introduced, this was a disputed point, and we got different advanced ruling which is being affirmed by appellate advanced ruling authority. It is a deemed supply, even without consideration. So supply of goods or services or both between related person or distinct person. Distinct person means when you take separate registration under same PAN number, you become distinct person. So any supply of goods or services or both between related person or distinct person in the course of furtherance of business is a deemed supply GST leviable. Next question comes valuation. What would be the valuation? Who is supplying goods or services? So if HO, head office, is supplying goods or services to branch or vice versa, what would be the valuation? Rule 28 is a prominent of Cgst rules 2017 for determining valuation whenever supply of goods or services are both happening between related person or distinct person. As per Rule 28, it should be open market value or value of like kind and quality, 110% of cost, or residue method. And there are two proviso which is being provided under Rule 28. First proviso says that supplier at his option, when supplying goods or services to his branch or vice versa, so supplier at his option can pick up 90% of selling price of goods, like goods and quality, when supplied to the customer who are unrelated person. So if recipient unit is supplying at 100 rupees, let's assume, for like goods and quality, then supplier can pick up 90 rupees, which is 90% of selling price of recipient unit for supply of goods. And when it is being supplied to unrelated person, that is the price need to be picked up. So if price is 100 for supply to unrelated person of like goods and quality, then a supplier can pick up 90% of this 100 rupees price. Second proviso is saying, and which is very interesting and important for all of us to understand, that if recipient unit is entitled for input tax credit, then supplier can show any value in invoice raised to the distinct person, and that would be considered as deemed open market value. So crux of this second proviso, which is important for us to understand, whenever or wherever recipient unit is entitled for GST input tax credit, then supplier can pick up any value, so any value on invoice, and which would be considered as a deemed open market value. Only condition recipient unit is entitled for ITC, input tax credit. So in an example which I have taken just while ago in first proviso, though there is option for the supplier to pick up 90% of selling price of recipient unit when goods are being supplied to unrelated person, but second proviso is available and such supplier can mention any value. It can be 70, it can be 90, it can be 120 or even rupee 1. Only condition recipient unit should be entitled for GST input tax credit. And whatever value is being shown on invoice, that would be deemed open market value. I'm just giving a link of another my video of 1 hour webinar on cross charge versus ISD in description box, which you may run through for detailed analysis. Now, having said the problem which is arising because of this AAAR ruling in the case of Cummins India Limited, whether the salary which is to be paid to CEO, CFO, common HR, IT and accounts team working and sitting at HO, and they are also looking after the operation of different branches pan India. So if there is cross charge means there is element of service by HO to the branches. We all know that when HO is providing support services, facilitation services to its branches pan India, we have discussed that cross charge exists. So for cross charge, valuation need to be arrived at. And for valuation, we have discussed it can be either open market value, like kind and quality, 110% or residue method with two proviso, 90% of selling price of recipient unit for supply of goods to unrelated person, or any value can be picked up by the supplier and mentioned on his invoice for supply of goods or services, and that would be deemed open market value. Only condition in second proviso is recipient is entitled for GST input tax credit. Now question, whether salary need to be included in total valuation when we are allocating cost and overhead for the provision of facilitation service, support service by HO to the branches. That is the moot question. So looking at these rulings which I have cited, what is being held in AAAR Cummins India Limited, that salary which is paid to the employee, and employee can be CEO, CFO, common HR team, IT teams, accounts team, need to be included in overall valuation for supply of services by head office to the branch or vice versa. The problem and question is, why this problem and what is the question? If recipient unit is entitled for availing ITC, then first pointer is I can pick up any value on my invoice irrespective of any valuation, and that would be deemed open market value. First point. Second point, had it been exempted sector, let's assume we are talking about exempted sector like healthcare, like education, we all agree there is a deemed supply between HO to branches or vice versa. And when we talk about valuation and that to exempted sector, then you can't pick up second proviso of Rule 28, whereby you can mention any value on your invoice and that would be considered as a deemed open market value. You can't do that. Then you need to arrive at your valuation, correct valuation, total cost. And total cost whether inclusive of salary, that is the point we are discussing now. Do we require to include salary component also? My argument, humble submission from my side. Employees are appointed to work for and on behalf of the company. They are not working for HO specifically. They are employed and they are supposed to work for and on behalf of the company, full company. So these employees to whom salary are being paid, it is for the working for a company as a whole. Only salary cost is being allocated to different branches including HO depending on cost center or profit center. Question is, do we require to include salary component in overall valuation when we are talking about exempted sector, where recipient unit is entitled for ITC? That there will not be much problem. You can arrive at any valuation, even ₹1 as per second proviso Rule 28 of Cgst rules. For exempted sector, this is a big problem. If salary need to be included, then it is creating following problem for all of us together. The first problem, salary is being given to employee and employee is working for a company, not for HO individually. Second, salary is being excluded by para 1 of schedule 3. So any services by employee to the employer in lieu of employment is neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. Para 1 schedule 3 clearly saying salary is not a part of either supply of goods or supply of services. So next question which is very relevant, if salary which is being excluded by para 1 of schedule 3 Why should be included in overall valuation? Is it not taxing something which is directly outside the GST? Salary is being kept out. Para 1, Schedule 3. If salary included in valuation, it looks like you're taxing some item which is directly outside GST. Second point. Third point. If salary included in overall valuation and GST charge on overall valuation, including salary, then that would be incremental cost for the exempted sector, healthcare and education. Example, because recipient unit will not get any credit. So cost competitiveness, tax cascading will continue to these sectors, those which are exempted. Engage in exempted supply of goods or services. My humble submission, why salary, which is outside the GST, to be included in overall valuation for the chargeability of GST? We are taxing something which is specifically outside GST as per Para 1, Schedule 3. That would be my summation. So what is the difference now? Last point. Cross-charge versus ISD, input service distributor. Very much relevant. In cross-charge, you have certain element of service which you are supplying by head office to branch or vice versa. There has to be some element. If there's no element, you're only procuring common input services at head office, which is being utilized by branches, different branches. Then you are being allowed to take ISD registration, input service distributor registration, and you can distribute the GST charge on such common input services, only input services. If GST charge on input or capital goods, you cannot distribute under the ISD route, input service distributor route. So ISD is only procuring input services which is being utilized by different branches, recipient unit, different branches. And it should be distributed either on the basis of utilization or pro rata turnover ratio. So cross-charge and ISD are two different concepts. In ISD, I am only procuring and distributing the GST component to the recipient unit either on the basis of utilization or turnover ratio. But cross-charge, there is element of service. There is a supply of services like facilitation, business support. So we have to find out, are we really engaged in any supply of services when we talk about from head office to branches or vice versa? Then only cross-charge going to be applicable, and then the question of valuation will come. So this video was mainly focusing on three important AAAR ruling: Columbia Asia Hospital, Karnataka; Maharashtra AAAR, Cummins India Limited; and Tamil Nadu AAAR, Specs Makers Optician Private Limited. So this video is summarizing the pointer of deemed supply when there is supply of goods or services between related person or distinct person in the course of furtherance of business, even without consideration. And its valuation aspect. This video is also focusing on when there is cross-charge and when there is ISD. ISD concept, separate registration. Only you can distribute GST on input services. You can't distribute credit taxes paid on input or capital goods. ISD, there is no element of service provided. Only you are procuring certain input services which is utilized by different branches. So these are the factual position need to be checked. And for valuation, yes, we have discussed the valuation is going to be critical for exempted sector. An example is education and healthcare. Wherever we are talking about cross charge between head office and branches or vice versa, in taxable sector where they are taxable, their supplies are taxable, we can follow the proviso 1 under Rule 28, which is 90% of selling price of recipient unit for supply of goods of like kind and quality to unrelated customers or any value where recipient is entitled for the ITC, and that would be deemed open market value applicable for both supply of goods or services. Hope this video will give you some clarity on this recent AAAR ruling coming from Cummins India Limited. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Lot many on GST. Thank you very much.